Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out the story of virtual insanity is weirder than you thought.
This is the song Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai. You may think it's just a catchy, well-made pop song, but there's so much more to this song. Surprisingly,
Okay.
after recording a demo in JK's basement, they shelved it and didn't think to record it. Only when the record label said their other singles weren't good enough did they even consider it. Musically, it's really complex for a pop song, and features many hidden little tricks and ideas that you've probably never noticed. Lyrically, well, it offers a unique prediction for the future. And with this song being now nearly 30 years old, we can see if these predictions came true. And that's not even mentioning the award-winning video, which is this genuine illusion meant to leave the viewer wondering, how does that even work? Could it be that a song about a virtual future, one disconnected from reality, is actually much more relevant than we first thought?
Yeah, what a great song. It is strange. It has a very jazzy feel compared to most pop songs. But y'all, the record label saying we don't hear a single yet, I feel like if they don't do that, then something's wrong. That's even such a common occurrence that it's in a Tom Petty song, I think. Free Fallin'? Into the Great Wide Open. It's about this guy who moves to Hollywood, learns to play the guitar, he wants to be a rock star. Oh yeah, here it is. Their A&R man said, I don't hear a single. The future was wide open. See, if you didn't know that this was such a common thing to say, you probably wouldn't understand that lyric. A&R man is artists and representation or artists and repertoire. Something like that. He says, I don't hear a single. That means he's doing something right. And then what always happens is they're like, oh, you don't hear a single? Well, then we'll just write this song in 10 minutes, and then that becomes a big hit. But for Jamiroquai, they dug back into their discarded songs and like, how about this one? And it worked.
The inspiration for the song first came when Jamiroquai were on tour in Japan in 1995. JK, Jamiroquai frontman, and Wallace Buchanan, the band's didgeridoo player at the time, had gone for a walk one afternoon in the northern city of Sendai.
They had a didgeridoo player? They had one member of the band and their whole thing was to play didgeridoo. I didn't know that. Interesting choice.
The band's didgeridoo player at the time had gone for a walk one afternoon in the northern city of Sendai. It's a huge city, it was the middle of winter, everything was covered in snow, and there was no one around. They walked for around half a mile until they met this old lady, and they asked where everyone was, and she pointed to these stairs that led them underground.
Walked down these steps, still nobody, and then suddenly thousands of people, just a whole world completely underground. And I just thought, wow, this is the future. Obviously the play on words from virtual reality to virtual insanity.
JK and Toby, Jamiroquai's then keyboard player, wrote the song in the basement of JK's house in London.
Wow. Hang on. What's up with that? Wow. That's amazing. So when it starts snowing, everybody goes underground. That's brilliant, y'all. That's really smart. This reminds me of a place I used to work in New York City. I used to work, where's 48th Street? Right around here. 48th Street between 6th and 7th. I think the buildings are gone now. But right down the street, there's the Court Theater. Is that the Court Theater? James Earl Jones Theater. Did they rename it? That's great. Yeah, that used to be the Court Theater. Anyway, that's not important. Right down here, which happens to be next to the Fox News building, there's a stairwell that goes underground. And under there is a mall. There's passageways to the subway station. There's passageways that go across the street to Rockefeller Center over here. There's a Wendy's. There's like restaurants down there. You could spend a lot of time down there, and I did. Because when it was snowing, it gets so unbearably cold there. A little boy from Florida, it was unbearably cold to me. Show me on them. Ah, yes. North of Tokyo. They have an aquarium, y'all. Let those fish out of that prison. Anyway.
A great deal of it starts with me with a melody. I'll have a future made of virtual insanity. I'll know what feel I want to get out of it. I'll know what tempo and what the track's going to constitute. I can see the picture at the back of my head.
They weren't writing for any particular project or album at the time, and so once the demo was done, they just left it and kind of forgot about it. Soon enough though, they would begin working on their third album, Traveling Without Moving. And with this album, they were looking to try a different approach from what they'd done with their second album. Their second album, The Return of the Space Cowboy, became something of a nightmare to work on. It had some amazing flavours and musical details on it, but it was incredibly complex and hard to get your head around.
Really?
Especially for us making it. If we wanted to extend ourselves, we needed a more universal sound.
What? Let's listen to it. Show me on iTunes. Albums, Return of the Space Cowboy. Wurlitzer. Whoa. Yeah, I just listened to the first little bit of it, and it's pretty out there. Space Cowboy is a proper phrase for this music.
Jamiroquai found a way of working very quickly in the studio, not getting bogged down with overthinking.
Nice.
Their current guitarist, Rob Harris, recalls often recording parts for a demo, not realising that they would end up on the final song.
Turning up to J Studio, and I had a thin line telly with me at the time, and they were like, "I'll just jam around." And then another part that went, jammed around on this track for 7 minutes, and they went, "Right, we got it, done." I was like,
Nice.
What do you mean we're done? I haven't started yet. And they were like, no, it's fine, we've got everything we need. It's great. Next track.
This spontaneous approach to recording gave them an authentic sound, recognising their jazz influence.
Yeah, this is reminding me of another video David Hartley did about the Beatles and their work ethic and how they would do stuff really quick. Keeps you from overthinking it. It's a good way to do stuff.
Recognising their jazz influence, but also allowing them to grasp ideas quickly and to not overthink things. Traveling Without Moving would live up to this goal of a more simple, easy to get your head around sound, with songs such as Alright, High Times and Cosmic Girl. Don't get me wrong, they hadn't abandoned their acid jazz flavour from the past. They were just starting to explore more of a pop and funk themed style on this record.
Okay.
Until one day, someone from the record label came in to listen to the album and said that none of these songs are suitable as singles.
See?
For Jamiroquai, they felt confident this was the album where they finally found their way of doing things, and were feeling confident about the music they were making. They thought the label was spoilt for choice when it came to singles, but they asked if they had anything else.
So the guys in the band were like, we've got several singles on this album. What are you hearing?
But they asked if they had anything else. Toby and Jay relented and, lost for ideas, dusted off the demo tape of Virtual Insanity. They played the demo they recorded in Jay's basement, and the record label instantly knew that was what they were looking for. Understandably, Jamiroquai were right to doubt this song's ability to be a hit single. Just consider these chords from a band who's just been told a song like Cosmic Girl wouldn't be played in clubs.
Hang on. C minor 7 flat 5. C flat major 7. B flat 7 sharp 5. These are some jazzy chords, y'all. Look at that. Oh, yeah. C flat major 7. Oh yeah, I know this chord. Sure. That's actually normal. B flat 7 sharp 5. I don't know if that's right. G flat major 7. C minor 7 flat 5. Oh, that's back to, okay. Yeah, not normal pop chords. Okay, moving on.
The song gets more unconventional still. These are the chords for the first verse, but in the second verse, it actually misses out half a bar. Or how about this sample from the film Alien? And perhaps the most surprising thing is that unlike many Jamiroquai songs from this time, it doesn't feature any didgeridoo, especially given Wallace had been in Sendai when they had the idea for the song. In the end, it would be the first song written for the album, but the last to be recorded.
So the didgeridoo player was in Sendai with them when they walked underground. He was fine with there being no didgeridoo. That's an egoless man right there.
But if the complexity of this song was enough to break through to an audience, what would happen next would take them to even new heights.
The video.
The song needed a music video, and the filmmaker Jonathan Glazer was brought in to try and make something special. He just had success with Radiohead's Street Spirit, a beautifully made video with some unique editing techniques, and it was JK who had the initial idea of the moving floor.
Hang on. Jonathan Glazer. That name sounds familiar. What else has he done? Oh, there he is. He's got an Oscar. What's his deal? English director and screenwriter. The Zone of Interest. That's what he just did. Yo, that's a great film. I just watched it. Oh my God, it's done so brilliantly. It reminds me of a Michael Haneke film. It's very German, actually. Wow. Yeah. This is making me realize that he's kind of brilliant, because the way they filmed The Zone of Interest is pretty fascinating too, because they had this house and they set up small cameras just around the house so that the actors could go anywhere in the house and they would be filmed. So it gave a really natural feel to all the blocking and the scenes. And then they used, I guess, visual effects to kind of like paint out the cameras, because in one camera shot you could see another camera across the room. Just paint it out, no big deal. Brilliantly done. Jonathan Glazer, yo, and he did this. Brilliant. That's like, a lot of filmmaking is just solving problems, and I think he's really good at that.
But his first idea for achieving it was to use travelators, so the floor would actually be moving. To demonstrate the idea to the team behind the video, they met in the pub, and in true JK style, he acted out the video idea on the pavement outside the pub.
So I kind of told Jonathan what he wanted, and he says, I want the floor moving, I'm going to move like this, and what have you. And Jonathan took that and then went away and came up with the idea that ended up being made.
Jonathan submitted the plans and was told the estimated costs would be £280,000. One of the guys on the production team offered the idea that...
I didn't know they had that kind of money back then. Or their record label had the money. Record labels are just banks. Giving you loans. Bastards.
Be £280,000. One of the guys on the production team offered the idea that instead of the floor moving, the walls would move instead, creating the illusion that the floor is moving. Jonathan called JK in the middle of the night to tell him the new idea, and somehow JK didn't get it.
I didn't get it. I couldn't quite understand. He said, "You'll see when you get to the set."
The idea of moving the walls instead worked perfectly, especially for JK, who was in his element being able to dance on the stationary floor. But there were a few details that didn't go to plan. There's the set wobbling when the rest of the band disappears, because of course the set is moving, not the floor. And there were 4 takes in total, stitched together to make the final video. And throughout the different takes, he actually uses 2 different fleeces. One is slightly lighter than the other.
Why'd they do that? I wonder why they did that. Maybe to show the evolution of the underground dwellings and the song, the evolution.
One is slightly lighter than the other. To stitch together the different takes, the camera pans to the floor where we're introduced to bugs, which were added in post-production.
Right.
The blood, however, is in the actual shot, and so that had to be
the last take. Oh, that's the last
For me,
take.
These little details, these little flaws which reveal how the video was made, actually help to complement the video. They could have used CGI, which wouldn't have been an illusion, it would have just been fake. Or they could have moved the floor, which also isn't an illusion, because that's what we'd actually be seeing. The final result is much simpler, but it's also much more interesting and a genuine illusion. This video helped Jamiroquai break through in the US for the first time.
Yeah.
It earned the band 10 nominations at the MTV Music Video Awards, winning 4 of them, and they performed the song live on stage.
I mean,
this time,
that's probably one of the best videos of a whole decade of the 90s. Oh, that's what I was going to look up. What is a travelator? In America, we call those moving sidewalks. Travelator.
Video Awards, winning 4 of them, and they performed the song live on stage. This time using moving travelators, as Jay initially suggested.
I'm very, very proud of it being that good. It's a memorable piece of work.
Yeah.
It will always be played, and people will always go, like they still do to me, how are those chairs moving like? So simple and so good.
So where does this song stand in today's world, bearing in mind that it was released in 1996? This is over a decade before the first iPhone was released, and years before the like of YouTube or Facebook ever came along. If JK was concerned about the digital world in the mid-90s, we can only imagine what he'd think of it today.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wouldn't.
Gosh.
There's always been a touch of criticism aimed at Jamiroquai. Take for example their earlier songs, such as Emergency on Planet Earth or When You Gonna Learn. Lyrics way ahead of their time, bringing concerns about the environment to mainstream music. only for JK to go on to become almost as well known for his love of supercars as his music.
What? Really?
Virtual Insanity is in many ways a continuation of their early work.
I wouldn't think they had that kind of money, you know? I guess they're playing a bunch of shows in Japan. That'll do it, I guess. Wow, I'm just now thinking, I think I had my first internet in 1995, and this came out in 96. Prophetic.
Only for JK to go on to become almost as well known for his love of supercars as his music. Virtual Insanity is in many ways a continuation of their early work. Thought-provoking lyrics that address important issues way ahead of their time. The liner notes from the sheet music describe it as When You're Gonna Learn Part 2. For Virtual Insanity, they painted the picture of a future disconnected from reality, and the band's ambition to avoid this disconnection. But it has become a reality.
Yeah.
Even for Jamiroquai, who have adopted a more digital electronic sound to their later music. Even his hat is electronic these days. But to its credit, this song also has a timeless quality to it. It doesn't particularly sound like it's from the 90s, and neither does the video. And I think this is because despite recognizing the possibility of disconnecting from reality, they don't allow technology to overpower their creativity. Perhaps this song stands as a good example of when technology and creativity can work well together.
Wow. Y'all be sure to go to David Hartley's page and like and subscribe. He does these great videos. It's crazy to think that this was done in 1996, or released in 1996. I remember in the late 90s that there was a style thing of things being gray and shiny and futuristic. I think it was because we were headed to a new millennium that it just kind of made people think about futuristic stuff, you know? There was a lot of that gray, shiny stuff. And I remember when I first saw this video, I was compelled by his movement too. The way he danced, he seemed so confident. And I thought, what a dumb hat. But he's like wearing it confidently. And that's impressive. You know? Something about that. To have the confidence to wear something kind of goofy. Or in my eyes, it was goofy. I don't know what he was thinking, but, you know.
Do you know how many times I've been asked that question?
That's Jonathan Glazer, y'all.
That was probably the only pop act I've ever done. I had a stupid idea of exactly the same idea, but basically the set was going to be built on hydraulics and like everything in the set was going to be able to move independently of everything else. The production designer came back with an estimate figure for the build of that of like 280,000 pounds, which was like ridiculous. I don't know what the whole video was in the end, but it was like 150 or something.
Okay. So that number 200 and whatever thousand was the initial budget if they had this set moving all around. And Jonathan Glazer was like, that's ridiculous.
So we couldn't do that. And we were days away from filming. I can't remember, it all happened really quickly because I had this little card model and we were shuffling it around. It was one of the guys on the production team, and he said, why don't we just not move the floor? Why don't we just like move the thing, you know?
Just move the thing.
And I remember people went, oh yeah, great, stupid idea. But it wasn't a stupid idea at all. It was a great idea.
Yeah.
It meant that the limitations of what we had to deal with would create maybe a more interesting conundrum, something that wouldn't be based on how much money you could throw at it.
Oh, that bass.
So we built a set on wheels, a floor with no detail on it. And the whole thing was like with an umbilical cord of all the lighting and everything. Everything was self-contained. It was just like a huge roller skate. We had 10 grips on either side.
You can see it moving.
North, south, east, west, printed on the studio walls. Just shouting north, 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 north.
Oh,
stop,
and everybody would pull it.
like that. South, 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 stop, whatever.
What?
And there's JK dancing away, trying to, form a bubble list, like people shouting and whatever.
Wow.
So it was really low tech, actually, the whole thing. And then the sofas were all bolted. The sofas were all on caster wheels as well. So and then you'd unbolt the sofas.
Okay.
Somebody would like, when you go north, 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 stop. And we'd choreograph it. We wanted the sofa now to move from right to left. And you'd just unbolt it. And then when you move the set this way, of course, and the chair wouldn't be moving, but it would appear that the chair would move because the camera was locked to the set the whole time. Simple as that. That was what it was. But I mean, it was like a day's choreography and then a day shoot. I've seen him in dancing in some really good videos before.
He's a good dancer.
Vaughan and Anthea did a good video with him dancing. Like just, I think it was a motion control move going around, and he was dancing around pillars and stuff. Kind of
Oh,
seamless. And he's a very specific talent, and I think the idea for me, in a way, it's like I like doing things with artists. I may not love JK particularly in terms of as an artist, but I admire what he does very much, and he's got a really specific talent, and that was just a good stage for his talent. But the idea, you or me in there would have looked ridiculous. I mean, it would be no conundrum. It was create what he's doing in that space, which is beyond my choreography ideas. We started off saying, I think it'd be good if we moved from there to there, and we did this with the chair. Then he'd say, okay, and then he did it. And then I remember saying to him at one point, do that instead. And he said, listen, I've been doing this in front of my bedroom mirror since I was 4 years old. Do you know what I mean? And he's right. It's like, I can't, what am I going to teach him about?
that was good. Oh, that was great. Oh, that's funny. Wow, that's hilarious. Let's read the lyrics. And the song is really good, but I don't think it would be as successful without that video. Because that video it's just so interesting to watch, and you get stuck trying to figure out how they did it. And then maybe about halfway through, you're like, oh, the whole room is moving, because you could see it wobble a little bit. Okay. Ooh, hey, hey, aw. Very prophetic. What we're living in, let me tell you. And it's a wonder men can't eat it all when things are big that should be small. Oh, I love dichotomies like that. Who can tell what magic spells will be doing for us? And I'm living all my love to this world only to be told I can't see, I can't breathe, no more will be. And nothing's going to change. Like, that's about climate change, I think. And nothing's going to change the way we live because we can always take but never give. And nothing's going to change the way we live because we can always take but never give. Wow. And now that things are changing for the worse, see, whoa, it's a crazy world we're living in, and I just can't see that half of us immersed in sin is all we have to give these futures made of virtual insanity. Now always seem to be governed by this love we have for useless twisting of our new technology. Oh, now there is no sound, for we all live underground. In Sendai they do. And I'm thinking what a mess we're in. Hard to know where to begin. If I could slip the sticky ties that earthly man has made, and now every mother can choose the color of her child, that's not nature's way. Wow, he's talking about genetic manipulation. Wow. That hasn't quite happened yet, I don't think. At least not legally. Well, that's what they said yesterday. There's nothing left to do but pray. I think it's time I found a new religion. Whoa, it's so insane to synthesize another strain. Genetic manipulation. There's something in these futures that we have to be told. Oh, there's nothing so bad as a man-made man. Genetic manipulation. The rest of it is mostly the chorus. There's like one bit about climate change, and the rest of it is about genetic manipulation. What year did we map the genome? 1990. 6 years earlier. So that was on his mind already. Wow. The story of this song is definitely weirder than I thought. Back in 1996, if you would have told me that 30 years later, 28 years later, that I would be making videos in my bedroom, tens of thousands of people would watch it, I would think, am I making porn? Like what? How does that work? What a world. Jamiroquai didn't even know about AI yet, y'all. We're so far beyond what this song is talking about. Surprised we're not living underground. I mean, sometimes we are. Y'all be sure to go to David Hartley's page and like and subscribe. And if you made it this far in the video, give me a like and subscribe. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. What's up? And thanks y'all. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see you next time. Later.